Aloha, I'm Digital Micro. Welcome to the Digital Micro Trading Journal. Day trading for ROI. No trade recommendations, it's just a trade journal. And this weekend, I want to just pretty much focus on defense allows trader to live another day. That's got to be the motto because there's always going to be someone on the other side of your trade, someone with more capital, more experience, and basically just better technique and a better game plan. So, how are you always going to consistently be able to take money out of the market if your D is not up to where it needs to be? Defense is everything. And just like in performance sports, trading is a performance endeavor. And if you don't have a defense, then most likely your career is going to be very short because you've got to have two things. You've got to have defense and you've got to be able to live another day with your trade capital intact. So prepping for the new week here, I want to just again take a look at the ROI targets for June because the market's not linear. We definitely have a two-way market. Some people would call it a bear. Other people would call it two-way, but what it's not is a one-way bull. Not with the inflation, not with the higher interest rates and the supply chain issues. That's just not happening. So it's actually pretty good for day traders because of the volatility level. So at the base level, number one, again, it's just one day at a time. Stay in business, protect your capital, defense. And that's the last week for me. It was nothing to write home about, but protection, staying in business, living again for the next future trade session. I'm shooting for intermediate level next week, but again, who knows? If 100 bips a day can happen, I'm going to take it. But at this point, no one can predict. But the idea here is no less than a base level of performance. The last week's takeaway lessons for the new week for me: do better. Again, continually working on the patient, especially patients when there's a clear and obvious setup like we had Thursday and Friday of last week. And I'll go into that in more detail with the charts. Increase on ROI income. Again, a subpar week for weekly ROI last week. So I want to do better for next week. And then face rip faster recognition on the 24-hour chart. Just wasn't quick enough on the draw to get what was happening, and that could have gone a lot better. So I want to improve that, especially if there's any face rips next week. On target, we stayed in business. NAV ROI with a modest increase. We had a small modest ROI payout. So that's a 10-week pay streak. Again, after no payouts in Q1, which was a mighty blunder on the traders' operating plan, we're going to keep this up hopefully right into the close of Q2. Closed up shop early last Friday, and then the last thing was played the non-farm payroll air setup, which mitigated a potential large face rip loss from Thursday. So Thursday here on this green bar on the left side here, this was the face rip Thursday, and what it gave us Friday Globex was really big air on the 24-hour, and I posted there was such a big distance from where this candle was on Friday Globex, and then the 3 EMA, the two bar anchored volume weighted average price, and then the key areas for next week for me are going to be the open range that opened in June here at 1871.2 by 1876. You can see here on the second chart in the middle, we're going down, and then on the last chart of the close, we actually tagged the lower part of the June open range and actually tagged the May open range. So these are key zones going into the new week. Bulls did not allow Friday's close, so this is still bullish because price is still definitely above the middle Bollinger Band, and it closed above the June open range. So we've got a long wick here on this third frame of the chart on the right, and I'm going to very carefully watch these levels here. Again, all dry powder, 100% fresh for Monday. The chart on the left, the 24-hour, and the 120 on the right. So first chart on the left is this blue dot. So when we open Monday Globex, I'm going to look at where the candle is relative to this blue dot, and that represents Friday's anchored volume weighted average price sitting at 1884.1. So I don't want how this price here closed so close to the volume weighted average price. There's no trade here. There's no setup. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to be patient for a setup. I need distance either above or below this volume weighted average price. But as I mentioned, this wasn't particularly bearish on the close. So there was more of a risk on, and they kept most of the bulls kept most of the gains from this face rip on Thursday and above the June opening range pivot. On the right, what I'm looking at here is Bollinger Bands on the upper and lower starting to close in with this middle Bollinger really slanting up. So for me, again, I might be interested. I think that on this M2k Russell, we could go to 1900 no problem next week. Again, it depends on the news cycle and where we're at, but no conjectures, predictions. It's a wait and see, check out the order flows, watch levels, and just really be flexible. Do not have any bias as much as possible. Watch, listen, and be ready to pounce on the setup. What we've got here are the three benchmarks. I haven't done a benchmark video in a while, so just the MES S&P 500. It's got a lot more tech exposure, so minus 145. So the small caps only had half the downside that the S&P did, so that's interesting. And then Bitcoin, of course, there's no buy signal here, even though it was up, because look, we're not even able to climb out of 30,000. I'm just watching Bitcoin, not trading the S&P, but I am using that as a reference of when I want to take a trade on M2K. I'm going to glance at the 24-hour S&P. So there you have it. That's where we're at. And again, defense allows day traders to live another day, and that's got to be priority one. Is be better on your D is in performance sports, what helps win championships, and it's no different in trading. You've got to be better than the trader that's got the other side of your trade. You've got to be better on defense for sure. Priority one, live to see another day with your trade capital intact. Aloha. Please, if this helped in any way, subscribe and take care.